Well, it's been 2 years since Charlotte native Shanquella Robinson died while on vacation with friends in Cabo. Now the attorney representing her mother has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the people who were traveling with Robinson. And the people traveling with Robinson originally told authorities that she likely died from alcohol poisoning. Well, a video released months later that you're looking at right here showed one of them beating her in a hotel room. Well, right now, Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes joining us here to talk about what's inside of this new lawsuit. Now, Khalif, I got to tell you, I got through half of this and just was disgusted with what is inside here. More details. What can you tell us?
What I can tell you is I do homicide cases on a regular basis, and this is by all means some of the most disturbing details that I've ever read. I mean, this is line by line account of what happened on that night in question, and a lot of things of what happened and what did not happen or what should have happened. And so they're alleging a couple of things. Negligence first, against what they call the Cabo Six, this group of defendants that were traveling together. And then you talk about the incident with the video. That's Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson was in this video assaulting Miss Robinson. And then during that process, that's when it's kind of all unraveled. And you can see that she is extremely injured, extremely hurt. But what the complaint lists out is the details, the timelines of what happened after that, or I should say what failed to happen after that. When authorities got there, they talked about her being alcohol poisoned and her needing to be rehydrated. Authorities at that moment instantly realized, no, she's not dehydrated, she's injured. And the key point that I look at in this complaint that they mentioned is that they asked the Cabo Six, do you want to get her medical treatment outside of this resort where you're at and inside of the in another location? And they all declined. Multiple requests were made, multiple documents were signed stating that we are declining her to get any type of care. And so that's what they're alleging is the negligence claim, at least against the Cabo Six. And then they also have a number of allegations in here against the FBI and the Department of State. Different allegations, but negligence nonetheless.
So what specifically are they asking for at this point?
I mean, it's all, I mean, North Carolina requires that if you're asking for any amount that's over $25,000, that's what you say, that it's the excess of a $25,000 that gets you into Superior Court. So they're asking that for all of the claims. You're talking about the negligent claims. They have a conspiracy claim. They have an intentional and a negligent infliction of emotional distress. That's for the mother, for the injury that she sustained. Because when they got back, two of these co-defendants or co-conspirators stated that, listen, your daughter died and she died of alcohol poisoning, and attempted to grieve the mother right in her house, knowing what this complaint is saying, that at that moment they already knew exactly what happened, that it wasn't alcohol poisoning, that it was an assault. But let's talk about the standard. The standard for a negligence claim is clear, that there must be a duty, there was a breach of that duty, that it was because you breached your duty, you actually caused my damages and I was damaged. Well, we talk about death being the ultimate damage. There's nothing worse than that. But the duty portion, because there's something called a Samaritan or Good Samaritan. If I'm just walking down the street and I see you on the ground hurt, I have no duty to save you, even though it's the right thing to do. It's the nice thing to do. In the eyes of the court, I legally have no duty to help you. However, if I caused your injury or if I participated in causing your injury, now I do have a duty. I have a duty to intervene and I have a duty to help.
Which is
what
so
they're alleging
important.
is that they failed to help.
And it's so important in this case because the facts remain. The video shows her being beat up by a particular person. So we have that as facts. What we don't know yet is in terms of how she died and who then is responsible for that. Is that correct? Well,
what they're saying is the allegations in here is that it was trauma. It was injuries to the spine, to the neck. I mean, when you look at their autopsy that they, or I should say their medical report that they have listed, it shows a number of injuries that were not related to dehydration and or alcohol poison, but from physical damage. And so the lack of getting medical care when this person was clearly physically injured is what rose this to any kind of allegations of crime. And then you got to think about it as this: the other complaint in Miss Jackson, she already has a warrant for arrest in Mexico right now.
Right.
And that's how we get to the negligence claim. They're saying the Mexican authorities submitted a request to extradite her to Mexico, and the State Department just failed to take any action. And the families wanted answers. They're wanting to know, why didn't you do this? If they're in the family in the press conference today said, if this would have been someone else, it would have been done. It would have been taken care of. Well, how come this isn't being done for my daughter?
Yeah, hopefully this gives them a little bit more closure in this case. Khalif Rhodes, appreciate your time and your insight on this case.